Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Christopher, the Boy Dad. I hope everyone's been having a good week, good day. I'm back again with another video to hopefully encourage each man, each person that has been checking out the video series. If you haven't and this is your first video, this channel was made to encourage men, husbands, fathers, future fathers to become greater than they've been in the past. It's 2025, and I want to be a better man. I want to be a better father, a better husband. So today, and I kind of recap in some of my past videos, I talked about just from the beginning of time what God really had His plans for us to do, and He gave us some good blueprints. So in the last video, I talked about how we should be working more. I'm going to kind of dive deeper into what we should be doing each day, and then give you some real world examples, including my life and including some other. I can tell you from firsthand experience that, like, if you implement some of these things, you will see some success or some headway or some improvement in your life. Okay. So, like, I know in the past videos, I talked about how God worked 6 days and rested one day. And I can tell you from my experience that the more that I worked or more work I put into, like, into our office, into C Clear Vision, our optometry practice, the more work I put into it, the more work my wife put into it, the more clients we started to see, the more sales and more um, people felt like they were being serviced correctly, right? In healthcare or in eye care specifically, people need to see every day, right? Well, there's multiple eye doctors, eye exam offices around everywhere. But how you treat people, how you put the work in, is how we saw a big improvement in the number of people we were seeing, a big improvement in the number of glasses we were selling, a big improvement in the number of contact lenses we were selling, things of nature. So now we're only open 4.5 days a week. We're our office, but then we have other avenues of income. So we have rental properties. And again, whenever we first set those rental properties up, the more work and more time I put into those rental properties, I saw more improvement and more potential to earn more from the rentals, right? So we have 3 rental properties. We have, they're all 3 bedrooms, but one was a house that we lived in when we were first got married, and bought a year in. After we moved to our second house, we kept that one, but I made sure, like, whenever we moved out, we made sure that it was in working condition. We put in whatever work we needed to do to make sure that it was, like, really top quality to have a renter in. And then when we put up for rent, we didn't have an issue renting it, but we had to put in the work. And I'm not kidding when I say that I worked almost every day. I didn't work every day because I generally try to follow what the Bible says about working 6 days a week and resting 7. But I put in work, right? Then when we bought our second rental, same thing. That house needed more work than our first rental house. So I had to put in work. I worked, I tried to work as many days as possible outside of working my office job, because I knew that if I worked now and then put in the right amount of work, improved what I need to improve, that it would give me it would be an asset that would give me some cash or some income that I didn't have to work for anymore. And then we, came again, shifted to a third rental. Same thing. Took a lot of work. I put in some days even after I got through with working at the office, to make sure that, hey, I'm creating and cultivating a house, an environment that someone else could live in and enjoy and have protection and housing and things like that. And then that was another asset that would also give us cash flow. So I think, not even I think, I know that God gave us a blueprint on what to do. So for us as men, we should be working every day to improve our minds, our bodies, our families, and then our well-being, like our financial well-being as well. So today, I know I kind of talked about some of those things, and I'll kind of dive into more, but we should work on our minds, our bodies, and I'm going to say family. Even if you're not married and you're watching this, you still need to work on your family, and I'll explain that. And then number 4, finance. Okay. So for me, my daily routine, I wake up, I first get my mind straight by I first get my mind straight by reading the Bible. Okay. If I don't read the physical Bible, I have a Bible app on my phone. I just try to get my mind in the right perspective, in the right um, path for the day. A lot of times, if you wake up in the wrong headspace, the day's going to go bad. Right. So I make sure that I read my Bible and I pray or meditate to get my mind set straight. So that way the rest of my day will be fine. I'm a pretty positive guy. I'm a pretty optimistic guy. So, and I think that's due to me trying to understand this book called the Bible, God's Word, and to try to get something every day to help improve my life. So, I I implore you, if you don't have a routine of getting your head in the right like path for the day, do it. Again, I, I'm speaking for me. I know I'm talking a lot about coming from the Bible, but I think it's a good guide. I'm not trying to be super religious or anything. I'm saying I think that it's a good guide, and it's been here for years. It's been here for thousands of years. Some of the books that we have now, they just been written in the last you know 20, 50, 100 years, but the Bible's been around for years. I think that that's a good guide to follow. So get you a routine to where you're reading, you're praying, you're meditating, and then you can read outside. You can read other books as well. Reading will never hurt you. Reading will help sharpen your mind, help give you some other ideas as well. Number 2, we should work on our bodies every day. Now, some people, I like to work out in the mornings, but some people can't don't really do early morning. The reason that I like to do early morning sometimes is that I get my workout and stuff done before my children and my wife are awake. So, um, but the reason that you want to have your body in shape, you want to live long. If you don't have a healthy body, you don't really have, you won't have the longevity that your family is going to need. Now, I'm speaking to men in general. If you're a husband, you're a father, you need to be making sure you're working on your health, right? You need to be as healthy and as strong as you can be so that you can be a protector, a provider, and also just have the longevity to provide for a long time. I don't. We can see that in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 2, God. I know people don't think of it this way, but God literally needed Adam to till the garden, right? So when you're tilling, if anybody's ever done any type of outside labor, gardening, mowing lawns, things like that, that's a physical act. So I 100% believe that God knew what He was saying when He was like, I need I don't have a man to till the garden. He knew that if Adam was tilling the garden and watching over the animals in the garden, that he knew that he was going to be doing physical work. He was going to be exercising, which was going to make sure that his body was always active and moving, right? So we need to also be active and moving. Now, that doesn't mean our work always has to be active and moving. We may have a way that we may create something that doesn't take physical labor to create and bring us income. But if we don't do that, we need to make sure that we're working our bodies outside of it. Number three, we should be working our families. Again, if you're a single man watching this, you need to be thinking or researching ways to make sure that your future family will be set up or structured correctly whenever you are blessed with a wife and children. Now, if you're a husband, you need to make sure that your family is always in order, right? You need to make sure that you have a home for them. I'm not saying you have to buy a house, but you need to make sure they have a safe place to live. You need to make sure that they have food. You need to make sure they have clothes. You need to make sure that they have a safe place, not just a home, but a safe place that they feel protected, right? There are a lot of men that are not stable, and I think that we can see that by the world today. There are a lot of things that happen that should not be happening. Now, some of this due to just sin, if you're a believer, and we'll see later on in the scripture and some of the other videos that I'll post later on that this is going to always happen. You should be able to help that in your little small family group by making sure you cultivate a environment that your family is going to feel safe and protected, and basically an environment they can grow and thrive in. And then number four, you need to always make sure that your finances are in order. The reason, again, that I think God had us working, wanted us to work, or wants us to work 6 days a week, is that we have a higher chance of, we have a higher chance of more abundance. A lot of people hear abundance and they go, "Oh, you're, prosperity and wealth, God." I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. Abundance doesn't mean that. Abundance just means you have enough or over what you need, but not in excess. And I think a lot of us have been, I don't want to say duped in modern society, especially with the culture now, that it's a like evil or a sin to be wealthy or rich. And I don't think that's the case. God intended us to be have access or have more than we need or want, or have access to more than we need or want. You can see it in the garden. God literally said to Adam, let's see here. And this is Genesis 1:29. God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed, to you it shall be for food." That's in Genesis chapter 1, but it's in Genesis chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 16, the Lord commanded the man, saying, "Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." So God, even in chapter 1 and 2, wanted us to be, actually, he intended us for us to be financially free. And what I mean by that is Adam had access to every plant, every tree, but he only had access to that whenever he was lined up with God, right? And he also had access to that whenever he was working and doing what God wanted him to do. So we as men in modern society should be working and striving to be financially free. We should work on our finances. So for me in my life, like I said, my wife and I, we own an optometry practice. That's our primary way of earning income, which is very active at the moment. But we are striving to get more, create and cultivate, which is what God wanted Adam to do. I think that's a metaphor, not even a metaphor, but God wanted Adam to till and man the grounds of the garden. And also he wanted him to subdue and have dominion over the animals as well. So if you look at it this way, God really wanted, God intended for Adam, for man, to be creators and cultivators such as him, right? So if Adam had tilled the ground, he created an environment for plants, trees, all the other animals to flourish, replenish, and multiply. We should be striving to do the same thing. We should create and cultivate environments or things or assets to be able to multiply, to be able to create or to replenish and multiply to where we have an abundance of things, right? So for us, in my life, we have, like I said, we have our optometry office and we utilize some of the funds after we, when we earn our income, we utilize some of the funds or some of the, let's see, we utilize the asset to buy other assets. So we purchased 3 rental properties. Those 3 rental properties are assets. And I'll go into the assets versus liabilities in the future, but those assets literally give us income every month. So we might have put in work in the front end, we'll put in money in the front end, but we've gotten money back each month. And that's like passive work. We also have other avenues. We, like I said, we have stuff that we sell online. There are, the biggest thing we should be doing as men is creating and cultivating things or environments or jobs that will help us become financial free, but that will also help us to become more abundant, that'll help our family become more abundant and be able to strive more in the future. So quick recap, we need to work on our minds each and every day. Okay. We need to get our minds set straight. We need to work on our bodies each and every day. I mean, every day. And I say every day. I don't consider mind, body, family as work in the sense that God was telling us to rest. I think that we still need to make sure that we're reading, praying, working on our bodies and our family every day, 7 days a week. But physical labor, we need to only work 6 days a week. Number 3, we need to work on our families. We need to make sure we have an environment that our families can thrive in, feel safe in. And then number 4, we need to work on our finances each and every day. We need to look at, assess, review what we need to be doing to get our family in a financially free state. Okay. What I mean by financially free is not stressing about everyday things like food. Am I going to eat today? Am I going to have clothes today? Am I going to have shoes today? Am I going to have a house on my head? Am I going to have water? Things of that nature. We shouldn't be stressing about that stuff. That should be something that should not be in our minds. That should be in the very back of our minds. We should be instead focusing on what can I do to better our environment, like better our community, better the world. But if we can't focus on, if we're stressing about our own financial freedom, we can't focus on bettering the community or bettering God's people. So this is what should be on our minds each day of the week, but especially the 6 days. We need to make sure we're working on this 6, this 7. Okay. I appreciate y'all checking out the video. I will see y'all on the next one. Y'all have a good day and be blessed.